So, in Microsoft Azure platform, they are providing the Microsoft is a by native wise. They are providing the Azure Firewall into three editions, like basic, standard, and premium. Three editions they are providing, and it's generally we know firewall for entire network security purpose. We can use the firewall. Like that means your entire Azure platform entry on hub network generally will keep it the firewall on entry of network. So that means over the internet or from on premises or any other cloud also getting the traffic to first hub network. In the hub network only we are going to keep it the firewall. So that means any traffic whenever coming to in our organization through firewall we can define it, so that what will happen, all the traffic it's going to inspect the data packets what getting over the network, what data packets is getting, each and every packet it's going to inspected, and accordingly if it is a identify any malicious or any FQDN malicious restricted or IP address, and depends on that it will block the firewall itself only. So that totally that firewall it's a providing the security to entire network, guys, to security to entire network. So this is a way like firewall normally is a importance. So if you see any organization generally in on premises anywhere, you can see there are different types of firewalls generally will use it. In on premises generally we can use the physical firewalls, that means hardware device and install that respective software and install the things and configure the things. And if it is a Azure platform totally virtually, and like Microsoft is providing their own native firewall, that is a Azure firewall. Three editions they are providing: basic, standard, and premium. Basic is a very recently they given, and standard starting onwards is available, and after that they given the premium also. And nowadays it's a most recommended and use the premium firewall. Why? Because of lot of all the features and we are getting. So let's see that point also differences we try to understand. But first of all, in this firewall what type of rules we can able to create it. In this firewall we can able to create the L3, L7, and DNAT rules, and source NAT rules. These all those things we can able to create it. So what are this one? L3, L7, these all those things. It's a network rules. Network rules means for IP address using that. Suppose somebody is a given this IP address needs to be whitelisted. Where we need to create it? In the network rules. If somebody is a given FQDN names, FQDN names. That means it's a websites like google.com, microsoft.com, like that. Any websites they given, we can generally create a application rules. Application rules. That means in your organization, what are the website needs to be allowed, what are the website you don't want allow it, we can create a rules under that application rules. And DNAT rules. So what is a DNAT? Destination NAT. What is the mean of destination NAT? Suppose Azure platform, I have virtual machine, I have VM, and hosted the suppose SFTP hosted, secured file transfer protocol I hosted. Now this SFTP needs to be accessed over the internet. Some other customer might be that company partner needs to be access the data and get the data over the internet. So in this case, what we are going to do in the Azure firewall, in Azure firewall, we are going to create a DNAT rules. What we are specifying? So customer like partner, we are going to provide the firewall IP address. Firewall public IP address, we are going to provide it. So what they will do, they will try to WinSCP or any FileZilla or FTP or any application, they will integrate the that SFTP related information, user ID and password, that port number 22, and as well as if you given other port number, accordingly that particular port number, and as well as that IP address, what we given the IP address. These details using that they will provide it. So that request will go to the via internet to the this firewall IP address. That firewall IP address under
Your
that
voice is breaking, Kiran.
is it voice is breaking still to
Yes.
Vinay? Narendra? Is it to everyone or only for Satish? Hello? Sorry?
Your voice is good.
Okay. Satish, I think your network is a bad.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay. So whenever it's a customer or partner trying to access it, he will try to reach out to the firewall IP address because of we given the firewall IP address. That particular firewall IP address we are translated. Like how is the thing? Suppose so and so specific destination from that getting the traffic. That means we are going to specify the source IP address. Source IP address means it's over the internet who are trying that list of IP address. We need to get it and we need to create a first of all in the source and destination. We are going to provide the firewall public IP address. After that, translated IP address means this actual backend. What is a VM like that private IP address and that particular port number we are going to provide it. So that what will happen whenever request is a getting from partner network to firewall, that firewall look into that. Okay, this is a DNAT rule. So and so this is a actually destination. This is a one. It will transfer the traffic to that specific destination. Again, that specific destination server will give the response to firewall. Firewall again translate the things and send it the back to the request to the that partner, so that partner accordingly they can able to access it. They can able to access it. Okay, in this actually secure transfer protocol, that means it's a encrypted. Even what getting the traffic and what going the traffic also even encrypted TLS encryption or SSL certificate using that also it will decrypt the traffic and accordingly it will insert the each and every packet. Any malicious it will block it. If it is nothing and it will forward the traffic as it is, it will send the traffic. So this is the feature is available under premium only. If you are not taken the premium, it won't check it the TLS or SSL encrypt the traffic. It won't inspect the traffic, guys. The data packets, it won't inspect the things because of in the premium firewall only that capabilities is available. The premium firewall only such capabilities is available, guys. Understood? These are DNAT rule and application rule and network rules. Hopefully these three types of rules understand. So because of most of the time in the real time we are going to create it. If you are as a Azure admin, if you are going to manage the Azure firewall, so mostly we are going to create a network rule or application rule or DNAT rules only, guys. Okay. So in the firewall, most of the time we have to create a this such type of rules only. Network rule, FQDN, like application rule, and this DNAT rules only. These rules, are you understand? Any questions on this? And one more point, by default, firewall if it is a created and UDR assign the traffic go to the firewall, traffic go to the firewall and define it. By default there is no rules. Due to that it won't allow the any traffic. It won't allow the any traffic, guys. So what should I do? We have to create a rules, network rule or application rules or DNAT rules, depends on the requirement. We have to create a rules so that only the traffic will flow. Even spoke 1 to spoke 2 it won't communicated. Already mentioned hub and spoke topology wise, spoke 1 to spoke 2 it won't communicated until unless there are two methods. One thing is a spoke 1 to spoke 2 is a peering. If it is a don't want all the traffic through via firewall, yes, you need to create a here network rule, so and so source and so destination. This is a one like that you need to define it so that only that spoke network also the traffic via firewall to spoke 2 it will communicated. Even spoke 2 to spoke 1 it will communicated via firewall. If you are not create a firewall rule, it won't communicated, guys. Okay. And few more features. Like what are the features? It's a by default Microsoft Threat Intelligent. It's already Microsoft backend maintain that malicious IP address and FQDNs. These all list and over the internet. What are they identify? Microsoft security team. They are maintained as a centralized one database. That Threat Intelligent integrate with the each and every Azure firewall. So what happen whenever Azure firewall like suspected same IP address or identify that same FQDN, immediately it will block it here only because of
that such malicious or websites, it will going to block it, guys. It will going to block it. Okay. So few more features. It's a thing built in high availability. So how much load is getting to firewall, even it will able to handle, because of automatically scale in scale out wise backend it will happen. Nothing to from our end. Okay, nothing from our end, guys. That means it will able to how much traffic is getting accordingly, that firewall it's going to handle in the backend. So no need to worry about that one. High availability in built in, so no additional load balance are required. There's nothing you need to configure. That means no need to configure from our end. So everything, it's a Microsoft going to take care that one. So this is a platform as a service. That's the reason this is a platform as a service. And availability zone, it's spread into the 3 zones and providing the high availability. That way, providing the high availability. Unrestricted scalability, yes, how much it's getting the traffic. Huge traffic also it will able to handle. Around 30 Gbps at a time it will able to handle, guys. 30 Gbps. 30 Gbps is a premium firewall. It support the 30 Gbps. It's not a small thing, guys. 30 Gbps huge traffic. In case of any attacks also, it's trying to anybody try to and down the your firewall, even it will handle up to 30 Gbps. 30 Gbps, it's not a small thing, and it's a very big traffic. Okay. And application FQD and filtering rules, yes, we already discussed. Like application rules means HTTP or HTTPS traffic, and network rules, it's a source IP address, destination IP address, what we need to allow it, what we need to deny it, everything we can define it. And threat intelligent, already I mentioned, by default Microsoft maintain the that threat intelligent, that means by default maintain the all malicious IP address and FQD and domain names and everything they are maintained. So these all those things already integrated with the all Azure firewalls. So based on any immediate such type of any identified, immediately it will block it. So especially in firewall, Azure firewall, premium firewall, IDPS, intention, detention and prevention systems, it will available under Azure Premium Firewall, guys. Under Azure Premium Firewall, IDPS is also is available. That is a one more feature for Premium Firewall. But IDPS and TLS and SSL inspection, it's not available. Standard and basic, it not available. And single Azure Firewall, we can attach to the multiple public IP address. Nowadays, we can attach to the 200 public IP address single Azure Firewall. So depends on the requirement, we can attach to the multiple public IP address. By default, one public IP address, but later on also we can attach to the multiple public IP address, depends on the requirement, guys. So totally this is about Azure Firewall features. Any questions? So, and one more thing, let me show you. So here, Azure Firewall basic versus standard and premium, if you type, and generally sometimes in interview they ask you guys, chances are there. So price also you can see price variation, as well as we can see the standard features and premium features and everything. And the basic edition is right now in the preview state. Okay, it's a preview. Generally it's not available, it's not recommended to use in the production. Okay, so you can see firewall deployment wise, basic is a 0.38 pounds, because of euro currency I selected, that's the reason. And if it is going to select the Indian currency, so you can see 32.259 paisa per hour. Standard 102.085, and premium deployment per hour, it's a 142.919. And data processing wise per GB is a processing 5.309, and here 1.307, and here 1.307 paisa. So compared to basic, standard and premium, less cost is a data processing wise. Okay. And secure virtual hub deployment in the WAN hub. Virtual WAN, if you want to use it, standard or premium only, and it's accordingly that cost also they provided. Almost is the same cost. There is no difference at all in virtual WAN hub or normally Azure Firewall in the hub and spoke wise also same cost. But basic it won't support it. You can see here premium. Right now still it's a development stage or it's a testing phase in the backend. In the backend is a testing phase or development phase in the Microsoft end. Now, generally, it's not recommended to use it because of recently they released the basic edition also. Okay, this is a cost related, guys. And coming to and the futures wise, you can see standard futures already we discussed built-in high availability zone, unrestricted scalability. That means huge traffic is supported. Application FQD and filter rules, network filtering rules, FQD and tags, service tags, and threat intelligence, DNS proxy, custom DNS, FQD and network rules, SNAT and DNAT, multiple public APIs, Azure monitoring log, force tunneling. What is a force tunneling? I will explain it. Web category and the certifications also everything it's a supported deployment without public APIs in the force tunneling. This is a one they given built-in high availability, and you can see there are multiple different ways they are provided the features. But premium, if you see premium especially difference here, you can observe TLS inspection. So that means the traffic encrypted also, and SSL certificate if you are using also, it will decrypt the traffic. After that it will inspect the data packets. After that only it will allow it. So normal firewall, you can see Azure Firewall without TLS inspection, the data traffic it's going, it won't able to inspect the traffic. But it's a Azure Firewall TLS inspection, what happening, it's going to check it each and every certificate with the secret key, packet is inspected, and server certificate is verified, everything it will going to validate it, guys. Everything it's going to validated TLS inspection. And IDPS means network intrusion detection and prevention systems. So you allowed to monitor network malicious activity, log information about activity, report it, and optionally attempt to block it also. So those features is available under premium firewall only. And so you can see private IP address, you can define it. These are the IP address you need to allow it. Remaining IP address, each and everything you need to validate it, any malicious, and you need to block the traffic. So generally private IP address within the organization will use it. That's the reason use the by default. This is a one parent policies wise we can allow it those things. Signature rules and everything. So many different ways it's a providing the security, guys. And one more thing, URL filtering. Generally, in the like a standard or basic editions, entire URL, what URL you want allow it, entire URL you need to provide it. Okay, so example you can see firewall standard. If you firewall standard www.google.com you mention, so that means under google.com extension wise what are the things, everything it will allow it, everything it will allow it. But premium firewall especially you can examine, okay, I don't want is a google.com slash something, it's a videos or something is a something other thing you don't want allow it. You can categorize, okay, I want allow the only particular categories. Like example, one more example, like something how can I say, violence videos or violence website, or it's a kind of unwanted websites, I don't want allow it. So I can categorize. So generally categorize in the YouTube also, like this is a technology, this is a like say data and science related, this is a so and so, like that. Yes, LinkedIn social network, like that. So that categorize you can able to do in the premium firewall. In the premium firewall you can categorize, okay, social media network I don't want allow it. So you can define that is any social media that is a web category wise, under that it will come and you can block it. So that way it's a web categories also you will get in the under Azure Premium Firewall, guys. Azure Premium Firewall you will get the that category also. Understood, everyone? Any questions up to now?
I don't have.
And okay, good. And one more thing, force tunneling. This is also important. So what is this force tunneling? Let me tell you here. There is a website force tunneling. I will take it here. TechNet, this is a one. So additional security if you required. So additional security is required. So what is the challenge here? There are some organization required outbound traffic to inspect by multiple network security appliance, such as a firewalls before send it to out internet destination. A customer in Azure can use the Azure Firewall to filter and apply the policy to outbound the traffic originating from their Azure resources. But their security policy could detected that internet outbound traffic to be sent and in, inspected by another network virtual appliance, that means another firewall in Azure or in on-premises firewall before it's sent to the internet. In your scenario, such requirement if you are getting, yes, it's a force tunneling is a one of the option. Using that, before going to outside the traffic, and we can define it. Okay, before that it's going to Azure Firewall through that. You can see guys, Azure Firewall through that before going to outside, and it's going to inspect the another firewall. After that only it will go to the outside. Over the internet, normally it will go to the over the internet like this. But I don't want over the internet directly. First, what is getting the Azure Firewall? First, go to the on-premises one more I have firewall, it needs to be inspected, this one also. After that only needs to be go to the outside, the traffic, guys. Understood? That means multiple firewalls or multiple security devices needs to be inspect the traffic. At that time we'll use the force tunneling. Understood everyone? Any questions? And what I mentioned, 30 Gbps, you can see here. So Azure Premium Firewall, 30 Gbps scalability, and up to it will able to handle the 30 Gbps. If it is a standard generally it won't support it that much, and it's a kind of something is a 10 Gbps or something like that, guys. So let me check it. It's not provided, but as a premium is a 30 Gbps, guys. I can confirm that is a 30 Gbps. It's able to handle. Okay, why these many things I'm explaining here, these minute things also. Sometimes in interview they will ask you lot of different variety of questions, like can you please explain the differences between the standard and premium firewall, what are the differences? That is a one thing. And might be they will ask you what is a force tunneling, and can we attach the multiple public APIs Azure firewall or not, and what is a TLS inspection and IDPS are web categories, and can you please explain difference between the physical firewall, on-premises firewall, and Azure firewall differences? So this type of questions, everything you will get it, guys, in interview. Okay, so mostly on firewall you will get this type of questions only, you won't get more than this one, I hope. And one more thing, firewall, like what is the processing the things? First, any traffic is getting, and first it will check the network rules. Processing wise, which rules first is a priority? Network rules. After that, application rules. After that, DNAT rule. So rules processing wise also, there is a priority. First is the network rules. After that, application rules. After that, DNAT rules, guys. This is a processing wise. And Azure Firewall, it support the only inbound or only outbound. It's a both the things. It's a both the things only it's supported. It's the inbound rules wise and outbound rules wise also we can use the Azure Firewall. Generally, sometimes in interview also they will ask you, Azure Firewall support only inbound or outbound? No, it's a both inbound and outbound rules also we can able to create it. It support the both inbound and outbound, guys. Okay. Any more questions? Any doubts?
Okay.
So lot of topics we discuss, especially interview point of view. These are the questions generally you will get it, guys, and try to understand and read it. This article, what is a force tunneling, how it works. That is a one thing. Let me post it in the chat.
Hey Kiran, can you post in WhatsApp group also?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Why not? This is a one thing, as well as Azure Premium and Standard. You can see here, and this is a features also. You can refer it. Because of interviews, it's touch the firewall means definitely they will ask you such type of questions. They will ask you guys. So what I already mentioned. Can you please explain differences between the physical firewall and Azure firewall? What is the differences? Or might be standard and premium differences. Can you please explain it? And coming to force tunneling and like, can you explain about Azure firewall features? So these are all those things they will ask you guys. Okay, this is about Azure firewall, and let's coming to jump into the firewall deployment. So how to deploy it? Go to the firewalls, create a firewall. So that firewall is a subscription and resource group, and firewall name we should provide it. Here I'm going to provide the FW01 firewall 01, like that I'm providing, and east US2, that region, which region you want, and availability zone wise. That three zones is a spread into the three zones wise. You can select it. Right now I don't require. That's the reason I'm uncheck the mark. But real time generally keep into the all three zones. Keeping into the all three zone, guys. Okay, for high availability. And you can see here, and Azure Premium Firewall support the additional capabilities such as SSL termination and IDPS, and additional cost may apply, they mention. But it's a majorly, it's a, if you look into that cost related also, better is a premium firewall. Why especially premium firewall? So more advanced features, everything we are getting, and cost wise also you can look into that, guys. And deployment cost only, it's a little bit high, but remaining is a data processing cost is the same for standard and premium. Standard and premium same cost, and compared to basic it's a very less cost is a premium and standard data processing wise, but only deployment wise we are getting the more cost on this. Okay, so majorly we have to look into that. Data processing means what is a coming and what is a going outside, inspect the traffic, that is a data processing. So majorly it will happen, but deployment, every day you won't create a rules, yes, and you won't deploy the Azure firewalls, multiple rules you won't create it. So the deployment cost only high, but data processing cost is a very low compared to standard and premium. Better go with the premium, because of the additional features also. That's the reason. Okay, so coming to Azure firewall here, and one more thing, firewall management. So if you are using the firewall, multiple firewalls, suppose in your organization two or three firewalls if you are using, multiple firewall if you are using, I want to manage the centralized only one policy. Centralizedly one policy I want to manage it. Yes, firewall policy centralizedly only one thing. Separately we can deploy the firewall policy, guys. Same firewall policy you can attach to the multiple firewalls. Same multiple firewalls you can attach the single firewall policy. So that what will happen, under this firewall policy only we are going to create a network rules and DNAT rules and application rules and all other settings also, like SNAT and DNS, custom DNS or Azure provide DNS, a DNX proxy, and everything it's a configure in the firewall policy only. But depends on firewall standard only, standard or premium, accordingly firewall policy only you will get that feature. Okay, under firewall policy only everything is available, we are going to create it. So centralizedly managing purpose we can use the firewall management about this firewall policies, guys. Okay, so especially when you are premium selected and it's asking the centralized policy only, but if you standard it's asking individual policies also we can create it. Use the Azure firewall policy to manage the firewall, or use the firewall classic to manage the firewall, this firewall. So inbuilt wise, you will get the firewall policy under classic model. It's a old method, but a centralizedly managing purpose, you can go with the standard also they are providing. So you can see additionally you are getting the firewall policy separately creating. Separately we are getting. So that is a advantage here. And right now I'm selecting the premium and it's a firewall policy we can create it. So that firewall policy also AG policy, like I can give the FW firewall policy. And which region? Right now this is a west us to east us to east us to only you can create it. And another firewall different region also same firewall policy you can attach it. There is no problem at all. There is no problem at all. And east us to, and if it is a premium, if you are using here firewall policy standard, there is no use because of all features available under firewall policy only. That means IDPS and those web categories, everything under firewall policy only. Which firewall model if you are using SKU type, same type of SKU type you need to select it. Okay, that is a generally recommended. If you are using basic, this is a one. What is the use? There is no use. Yes, so those features you are using the firewall wise, you are getting the premium. But what is the use? Firewall policy wise basic, if you are using, there is no use. Yes. So better is a go with the premium only. And after that, network. It's a one dedicated network is a required guys, and use the existing network I mentioned, but I don't have any network. And public address here, firewall require the minimum one public address. That is a firewall public address. It's going to use the standard SKU type and static public address only. It's going to use it. And one more thing, one dedicated subnet is required. This firewall also one dedicated subnet is required. That means whenever I'm going to create a virtual network, one dedicated subnet also we need to create it, guys. One dedicated subnet we need to create it and attach it, so that only this firewall it will work. So what will happen? Dedicated subnet, because of backend these firewalls, multiple firewall instance is going to run it, so that that firewall multiple instance is going to take it the multiple private IP address. Each instant one private IP address. That way, it's a multiple private IP address. It's going to utilize it. That's the reason backend one dedicated subnet is required for Azure Firewall. Okay, so we need to provide it. And one more thing, by default, we won't use it for tunneling until unless that specific requirement only we are going to enable it. For if you are enable the things and one dedicated subnet firewall for tunneling wise. For tunneling, additionally, Azure Firewall management subnet, one more subnet is required, as well as one more management public IP address required, guys. One more management public IP address, as well as one more dedicated subnet, Azure Firewall management subnet we required, that for tunneling wise. So right now I don't require and disable. Right now disable. So this it, that's it. And you can review and create it. Right now I don't have virtual network. I'm going to create it and I'm going to show you where is starting again one more time like this. Okay, so this is a way we can try to deploy the firewall, guys. So tomorrow I'm going to show you what are the firewall rules, how to create it, and we'll look into that. That part also we'll try to look into that. But deployment, I hope everyone understand what are the options we need to select it, how to deploy it. If you have any questions, let me know.
Kiran, the cost we discussed about firewall
Mm.
deployment, right?
Mm.
It means the time it will take for deployment, no?
Deployment means not Azure Firewall deployment. During the Azure Firewall deployment wise also, additionally, we are going to modify or create a new rules. Yes, firewall rules.
Yeah.
That firewall rules also, if you are going to create it means that is a deployment. Again, if you are modify, that is also deployment only. Okay.
You got it.
So data processing existing rule is a going to validate it, that is a called data processing. But deployment means when you are creating the new rules or you actually starting Azure Firewall deployment wise, and after that creating the new rules or modifying the existing rules, these all those things also deployment also, that is also under deployment only. Okay. Any more questions? So this SLA also they provided. Like I think it's a basic edition. They won't provide the SLA, and it's a firewall standard onwards. They provide the SLA, and you can see it's for availability zone wise, 99.99% of SLA they are providing, guys. 99.99% of SLA they are providing, and premium also 99.99% only because of built-in high availability. Both the firewalls we are getting. Okay. So that's it all today, guys. If you have any questions, any doubts, let me know. Okay. If no questions, no doubts, if we are good, and we are good to close the session.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Already, like last 2 days, is the recordings also uploaded in the WhatsApp. It's already available, and today's session also I will upload it and I will provide the link. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.